Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 115 of the Runnin The Paint Podcast. I'm Miles here with Joey and Nick. Guys, how are you doing today?
Feeling good, feeling great. It is the best episode of the year.
Yes, sir. We are back. It is indeed the best episode. What's up, fellas?
What's going on? Unbelievable. This is the final episode of the regular season for the Runnin The Paint Podcast. Next time that we're on, we're going to be previewing the postseason. And despite us only having like 2 to 3 days left in the regular season, there are still incredible storylines that have happened. But the big headline for this episode, we have our 2025 awards, where we are going to give our award winner for all the major awards and a brand new one this year just for the Runnin The Paint Podcast. So make sure you stay tuned for all that. We'll get into that in a little bit. We've got a lot of stories to get to, but first, it's PERTL. Once again, final one of the regular season. We've been on a roll lately. Who should our first player be, Joey? Who do you got?
I'm thinking of a player that's been around, couple of teams. Marcus Smart.
Marcus Smart, yeah, has been on a few teams now. Let's see here. Marcus Smart. All right.
The position.
Western Conference, probably a shooting guard, younger. Okay, not terrible.
Jordan Hawkins.
Jordan Hawkins. I don't mind it.
I don't mind that.
Let's try it. We can try to get some more information here. Jordan Hawkins. Hey, look at that.
All right.
We are within striking distance jersey number wise. It's going to be either number 23 or number 22. The guy is 23 or 24 years old, and he's not in the Southwest Division. All right.
So either the Pacific or the Northwest.
All right, let's see here. Let's try to think jersey numbers.
What number is I think Nikhil Alexander-Walker's a single digit.
Yeah, he's number 9. Number 9, I believe.
I feel like this is gonna be a point guard because he's 6'4". I don't know too many.
Yeah, 6'4". He's like a tweener.
Yeah.
And he's somewhat young.
Would be like
Yeah.
Shaden Sharp.
Oh, okay.
Shaden Sharp. He's number 17, but not a bad.
Oh, bad, yeah.
It's not bad though.
What number is AR?
15. He was someone I thought we would get. I thought we could guess right after Marcus Smart, but Jordan Hawkins got us closer.
Yeah.
Man, let's see. Golden State doesn't have 20.
I mean, never mind. I was gonna say Bradley Beal's that height, but he's just older. Grayson Allen's around that height.
Yeah, it's number 8. That's
yeah,
the thing.
jersey numbers are 23 or 22.
That's the thing. If we could nail this jersey number down, then we should be golden.
I feel like it's like Portland.
Portland, I'm thinking. So 23 is Klingon.
No.
22. I don't know if they have a number 20.
I have no idea any number 22s. I'll be honest.
Dang, Malachi Branham would have fit this, but it's not a Southwest Division team. Utah, Markkanen, no. 22. Geez, 22 is. I feel like is that. No, I think 22 might be like Filipowski. This is tough. I think we can get this in 3. Just got to nail down this player or the numbers.
Yeah, I'm really trying to think of just those numbers, and I can't.
Lakers, no. Denver.
Isn't Svi Mihailik on Boston or whatever?
Well, this is in the West.
Yeah, I know, but
Oh.
I think he was on Utah.
I think he is on Utah now.
Oh.
But I don't know if he's either of those numbers.
I don't know either.
Grizzlies are not in the division. Golden State has Draymond. Minnesota, Jalen Clark. He's like a two-way player. He's a point guard who's 6'4". Let's try it.
Let's try it. I was going to say, that's probably the best guess we have right now.
Jalen Clark.
There it is.
Oh, my gosh, it is.
You're insane, Miles.
I did not think all right, I guess for future PERTLs, we need to really be on our game. I did not think Jalen Clark would be on here.
Deep in the PERTL bag on that one.
Deep in the PERTL bag. He's gotten some opportunities this year, but yeah, man, got PERTL in 3. I think that might have been the most impressive one we've gotten yet.
That was a great poll.
Yeah, let us know down below how long it took you guys to get Jalen Clark. But now let's get into a couple big headlines before we get to our awards. First up, on Tuesday afternoon, the Denver Nuggets fired head coach Michael Malone.
Shams bomb.
This was a Shams bomb. This was very, very shocking, that it would happen at this point of the season. At first when I saw this news, I was like, man, I guess their GM, Calvin Booth, won the head-to-head battle between Michael Malone and Calvin Booth because, those two have had some friction over the last few years. I remember Nick was talking about it at the beginning of the season a little bit. Nope, Calvin Booth also got fired. So they completely emptied the house with, at that point, just 3 games remaining in the regular season. This tied for the longest into a season that we've had a coach get fired.
Forget longest in a season. I mean, he was there for a decade. To have him be kicked out of the door with just a couple games left in the playoffs after a decade is really a disrespectful look.
The champion. And yeah, it's very shocking that they just kind of got rid of Malone like that. The team wasn't the team itself, they got great players or good players, and obviously Jokic, but I honestly, I don't know, man. I did not think he could have done much better because this is a loaded Western Conference, and he's done a great job against teams that are on paper much better than them.
Yeah, Denver has had a pretty decent season. They were on that stretch where they had lost 3 or 4 games in a row where Jokic was playing the best basketball of his career, which is obviously saying something.
But Jamal Murray's been out.
Yeah, I think there are things to their season, and they're still, right near the top of the Western Conference fighting for, home court advantage. I personally think that Denver wanted to fire Michael Malone at the All-Star break. This is my personal thinking. I'm thinking Denver wanted to fire Michael Malone at the All-Star break because, to start the season, they really were not playing that well. We were talking about it a lot. Should we be worried about the Nuggets because they would be losing some games and Nikola Jokic would have to put on his backpack and really carry this team like we've never really seen before, even with veteran additions like Westbrook. The Dario Saric thing really didn't work out this season, but they really weren't that great. But they went on, they went on a 9-game winning streak right before the All-Star break. And during this stretch, I'm like, all right, it's good you're now winning all these games, but none of these were really impressive wins. This was a pretty easy part of the schedule. The most impressive victories out of this winning streak were, a 3-point win against the banged-up Sixers, or a win against the banged-up Magic. All these games were against the only team that's going to play up in the postseason that they won in this stretch was the Orlando Magic in 1 game. The rest of these teams were lottery teams. So, but because they had won 9 in a row, ownership was probably well, we can't fire him now. That wouldn't make any sense. That wouldn't look good at all. So now they go on this stretch where they lost to the Wizards a while ago. Blowout loss to Portland. They go on this 4-game losing streak, and Michael Malone in post-game press conferences is saying things about his players to try to get them up. He's actively said that he's not really a big fan of the roster that Calvin Booth has kind of had him work with. But either way, I don't think that this is a move you make in the final week of the regular season, especially with, as you guys said, a coach. This is the 4th longest tenured coach in the entire NBA and a championship coach from not even 2 full seasons ago. This is crazy.
It's honestly psychotic. I wasn't a big fan of the Grizzlies doing it this early because they're in the playoffs too. It's just to me it just screams dysfunction that in any organization, because regardless of how you feel about them or if they're in the right direction, if they're having I would say a decently successful season where you're putting yourself in a position to make the playoffs and compete, because that's any series can go any which way depending on how your guys are playing or just how they're feeling that day. Anything can happen. So as long as you make it there, that's where you have to prove it. But not even giving any of these guys. And again, just to add on top, Michael Malone, 4th longest tenured coach, champion dude. Like this one, even more so than the Grizzlies firing Jenkins, was like, I just I don't get it. I truly don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, the best coach in Nuggets history. I mean, this was a shocker. I was not really shocked with the Calvin Booth firing.
No.
He was coming up on the final really year of his contract, and they hadn't signed him to an extension. I did not think they were going to bring him back either. And really, I mean, with the roster and the way that their roster has kind of been put together with Jokic, Murray, Aaron Gordon, and Michael Porter all making such big money. I believe the numbers, they're all making a combined $160 million salary just for next season. That's given them a lack of wiggle room with the roster to retain guys from previous years. Like the last 2 years from that championship team, they lose Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Bruce Brown, and Jeff Green, who are also three guys that it's not like they've been like crazy good since they've left the Denver Nuggets, but they're three key pieces that they couldn't bring back. And they've tried rebuilding this depth through the draft. And the Calvin Booth draft picks since he has come in 2020 have not been good. To summarize it here, these are the 6 Denver draft picks since Calvin Booth took over. Zeke Naji has been more down. Bones Highland, I thought, was good. I know Nick's a huge fan of him, but they traded him in his second year. Peyton Watson, Julian Strawther, Jalen Pickett have all kind of been up and down. The only one that really has been a good draft pick has been Christian Brown over the last 5 years. And even summarize it even more, these are the playoff numbers. All these guys really have not been able to really play in the playoffs, besides like Christian Brown had some good moments during the championship run, but really the depth of this team and the draft picks that Calvin Booth has selected over these last 5 years, it just hasn't been good enough. It hasn't worked out. And when it's consistently drafting badly for these contending teams, I mean, we look at teams that consistently draft poorly near the top, obviously, because those are going to be the players that kind of turn your franchise around. But this matters almost just as much because the depth has been awful the last few years.
Yeah. And it's different for me from the Grizzlies thing because, like, this team is like a top 5 contender for the title. And everyone kind of knew that Jenkins was going to be out the door on the but, like, this was such a surprise. I don't have much more to say. Like, it just
really
doesn't make sense. Like,
we're speechless. We're speechless. I mean, it really is crazy. Again, with 2 games left in the regular season. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, I posed this question to you guys. I mean, you mentioned the Grizzlies thing. We're seeing this now. Is this going to start to become some sort of trend?
I really hope not.
I think Joey hit the nail on the head when he said it screams just dysfunction.
That's what it is. I've been a Browns fan long enough to see what dysfunction looks like up close. And firing your head coach, or in Denver's case, firing your entire front office and clearinghouse 2 days before the playoffs, it doesn't scream like you're in the contending mind. With a team, like you said, Nick, top 5 contender in the entire NBA. At least in everybody's opinion.
Yeah, I think a lot would probably say that the Denver Nuggets behind the Oklahoma City Thunder are probably the second best shot to make it out of the West and compete for a title. So it really is just unbelievable that this did happen. And again, the playoffs start, next weekend. So does this really affect what you guys think about this team going into the playoffs? I mean, this is not Joey. Do they go down to you?
Yes, 100%. I'm sorry. Especially with a team like this, there was already so many questions of how the depth players, since they don't have as many depth players, but how are they going to play? And one of the good things that you could always hang your hat on going into the postseason was, hey, well, we have Michael Malone, Jokic, and all the main guys that have been there and done that before. He'll get them ready to go and to make sure they're focused. Now you don't have that. You really have to rely on those vets and Jokic. It's going to be I know from the outside, it looks like coaches don't do a lot and it's all the players because they're the ones doing it. But trust me, the coach the team is going to live and die by the coach as well. It's as important. Like it's going to be nuts how much this is going to be on the players, and I just feel bad for the Nuggets fans kind of going towards this postseason.
Yeah, so it'll be their lead assistant, David Adelman, leading the way for the rest of this season. Of course, the son of Rick Adelman, legendary head coach, the rest of the way here. Nick, do you kind of feel the same way about the Nuggets?
Yeah, I feel bad for the fans. And yeah, like I was thinking as Joey was talking, he's right. Like missing the leader of that like championship core definitely changes things. Like if they were to play the Clippers in the first round, I would have a hard time not taking the Clippers in a 7-game series.
Well, yeah, with the way the Clippers have been playing as well. Yeah, the Nuggets definitely not playing their best basketball coming in, going into the playoffs. I mean, it just really is unbelievable. They have 2 games remaining in the season. They play the Memphis Grizzlies tonight at home and then at Houston on Sunday afternoon to finish the season. And they did defeat the Sacramento Kings on Wednesday night for their first win under David Adelman. So we'll see if they can kind of figure things out. Maybe a different voice might help a little bit, considering that you never know. We're not in the locker room, so it's hard to really know. Maybe his voice had become stale in that locker room. That's a big reason why the defense has been awful. And, we'll see what happens. I personally don't see how it'll work out when you fire a championship coach 3 games left in the season, who, by the way, after winning the championship in 2023, was a few possessions away from going back to the conference finals last year. They very well could have made it to the finals, and who knows what happens against Boston last year. And again, we're not even 2 full seasons removed from a championship, and the coach is fired. So the thing that's been going around is 4 of the last 6 championship coaches are now canned, and that's just unbelievable. It's just crazy when you think about it that way. But we'll see what happens with the Denver Nuggets over this final stretch. You guys have anything else on it?
Loyalty is hard to come by.
It is, as we'll go to here. As Wednesday night, the most anticipated regular season game took place as Luka Doncic made his return to Dallas for the first time as a Laker and for the first time since the most shocking trade in NBA history. And we really got to see the emotion from Luka during the tribute video, during the starting lineup introductions. Nick, what were your initial thoughts really from that, seeing Luka's reaction to everything there?
He was able to block it out pretty quick once the ball got tipped because he had 31 in the first half.
Yeah, he played, honestly, one of the best games I've ever seen him play. He played fantastic.
Yeah, he loves being the villain. Has had some of his best games, as we remember from the playoffs where he picks someone out in the crowd and then just goes at them the entirety of the 48 minutes. But today or the other day, he had only one person probably on his mind to pick out from the crowd, and yeah, he made a statement.
Whole crowd was chanting that name. Did you happen to catch that? The whole Fire Nico Harrison chant that was going around that arena?
Yeah, it definitely happened multiple times throughout the game. I mean, rightfully so with, the fans are obviously still hurt from that trade. They probably will be for a long time because you really got to see how much they loved Luka with that. And, the 45 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, he was so efficient. He just played so well. And able to get the win, obviously. And what was a huge game. The emotion, it was great to see. And I'm excited to see how Luka plays following this now that he has closure on the whole Dallas trade and on Dallas, because I think that was a big thing. He's been playing pretty well for the Lakers. They've been playing great as a team. But I think he kind of needed to close the book on that situation. And I think Wednesday night really did that for him, and now he can be solely focused on being a Laker and trying to get the job done this season.
You could tell the weight has definitely looked like he was lifting it off his shoulder throughout that whole game when he was just going absolute bonkers. my reaction to probably the video, at least, I would say Trae Young tweeted it out the best. He was never going to leave.
Yeah.
He was never going to leave. The way he was crying and looking at that and the emotions he felt, you could tell like he was already planning to have his statue next to Dirk's there. He was just, his mind was already there for the next 10 years.
And it watching like the video itself, which was a good 2.5 minute video. I mean, that was a special tribute that we obviously don't see of a lot of players. Obviously, Luka, a very special player. Coming from someone who understood the trade a little bit from the Dallas point of view.
I was gonna say I would have made that trade that day.
I was still watching I was watching that 2.5 minute tribute video, watching all the crazy highlights from just from only 7.5 seasons there. And I'm like, man, that is kind of wild that they let that go. That is crazy.
You just don't do that.
Were any of them defensive highlights?
No, that's the thing. You can never go back. I still do understand the side, but coming up on our brand new award that we have this season, we might have the Dallas Mavericks be the winner of that because of this whole situation. But let's get into our 2025 Runnin The Paint Awards, man. This was a lot of fun. Of course, our second year of doing this. So what we did is of course, Jackson isn't here, but the four of us, they all submitted their top 3 players of each award to me. And then we also put out the fan voting on our Instagram stories on Tuesday or Wednesday that you guys were able to vote in. And we got a lot of feedback for each award. So thank you guys for voting. There are a couple awards that the fans actually kind of determine who won the Runnin The Paint Award. So that's always a fun part of this. You guys, let's get started. What award should we go to here first?
How about Rookie of the Year?
All right, we'll go to Rookie of the Year. So what I've got the top 3 nominees. I'll reveal the winner, then I'll reveal the voting breakdown, and then we'll talk about the award. So Rookie of the Year. Of course, this was a draft class coming in, that didn't really feature any kind of standout star type player, but a lot of solid play from a lot of rookies this year. There were a lot of rookies that actually got votes across the board from us. But the 3 nominees, Bub Carrington from the Washington Wizards, Stephon Castle from the San Antonio Spurs, and Zachary Risachet from the Atlanta Hawks, the number 1 overall pick, didn't end up making the finalist for this. And the winner for Rookie of the Year is Stephon Castle from the San Antonio Spurs.
Hey, let's go.
And this one, not unexpectedly, unanimous across the board. This was pretty clear. Stephon Castle has played a great year for the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah. A lot of this award that I think he will win in real life in the actual NBA is going to come down to the fact that he was just in a good spot and he made the most of his opportunity because, a guy like Reed Shepherd could have just as easily put up the same numbers or even more numbers in the same role. And we also saw Jared McCain just get the opportunity in Philly and make a lot of headway with it. So he really did do a lot to earn the award, and I think he will win it. But I just want to give a shout out to those guys too: Reed Shepherd, Jared McCain, Zach Edey. I had Bub Carrington and Zachary Risachet as my 2 and 3. So definitely a lot of good guys for the award.
I had Bub Carrington as well, but I also had Jalen Wells.
I did as well.
Who's been just balling, especially the second half of the year. But major credit to Stephon Castle. I know we would have loved to see throughout, to finish out him and Wemby, but man, him and Wemby in the future is going to be very, very fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what the future there will be for that backcourt in San Antonio. We kind of talked about it in our lottery team preview, but individually with the injury to Fox and just having Chris Paul there to mentor him through the entire season, he's gotten better each and every month of the season. He's played very well. I mean, the only really rookie wall he faced was in January where he kind of struggled a bit, but over the last 2 months where the ball has been in his hands more, he's played great. I mean, in the 6 games he's played in April, he's averaging 19, 7, and 7. I mean, as a big guard, he plays very well, and he's getting this opportunity to just have the ball in his hands. And you know, people might give this. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we unanimously voted Stephon Castle. So I definitely think he will win the award, but definitely want to give the credit to guys like, Jalen Wells and Zach Edey, who got it done on a competitive playoff team. I mean, those are two starters on a legit Western Conference playoff team. And I gave Jalen Wells my third spot. Because, I mean, what they've asked him to do to guard the opposing best guard as a rookie on a competitive team, very impressive stuff for Jalen Wells. But Zachary Risachet, man, he's talking about getting better throughout the year. He's been playing great, so I'm glad that he did end up making the finalists. But
very big shout out to Jared McCain as well, because he would have been it would have been him and Stephon Castle if he didn't get hurt, because at least to start the year before he got hurt, he was probably going to run away with it. It definitely looked like it, because man was balling to start his career.
Yeah, the way he was scoring was great. And Nick, you're absolutely right. A guy like Reed Shepherd specifically, I think if he was in, a sort of situation, maybe like the Washington Wizards, kind of like Bub Carrington, to just get more shots up and be efficient, probably would have, put up the numbers to at least contend for this award. But Stephon Castle certainly deserving for this award, and I'm very excited to see how he, what he ends up doing really in his career. I think he could be an all-star caliber type player. I love his athleticism and just the overall skill that he has. It'll be really important for him to get a consistent, perimeter jump shot for him to moving forward, especially for that Spurs system. But just a great rookie year for Castle.
I think it's very dependent, at least him getting an all-star, dependent on how that Spurs team does in general. Like, if him and Wemby become just a dynamic duo that's growing throughout the years, and I know they have Fox there, but realistically, if you're looking at Stephon Castle and Wemby growing together, the potential is kind of limitless with that because of how insane of a freak Wemby is. But not saying that Stephon Castle, if he hitches his saddle to him, he could ride those coattails. But it's almost kind of like a Penny and Shaq situation I'm looking at, where it's like the man's got insane talent, but this man is, you ride with him and you go with him, you can go anywhere.
Yeah, for sure. And I think De'Aaron Fox being there as well will just make it better because he is a taller point guard. Last thing I'll say with Castle before we move forward, I'm on his basketball reference page. Didn't realize he was born the same day as me, like the November 1st, 2004. So shout out to Stephon Castle. I will be a forever fan now.
Twins!
Did not know that. That is awesome. Shout out to Stephon Castle and congrats on winning the Runnin The Paint Rookie of the Year for 2025. Terrific season. Joey, what award do you want to go to here next?
Let's go to Most Improved.
Most improved player, always a controversial award every single season. So here are our three nominees. Let me find it. All right, here we go. Most improved player, our three nominees: Cade Cunningham from the Detroit Pistons, Dyson Daniels from the Atlanta Hawks, and Austin Reeves from the LA Lakers. I guess before, what do you guys think of the three nominees we have?
Well, my midseason pick was Cade, and he hasn't slowed down or done anything to be less deserving of my vote, but I'd pick somebody else.
All right. Well, let's reveal the winner then. The winner of the Most Improved Player Award is Dyson Daniels from the Atlanta Hawks. And incredibly enough, I was not expecting this to happen on this award. All four of us picked Dyson Daniels.
Wow.
And then the fans decided to go with Cade Cunningham. So, Nick, you just mentioned it. You had Cade midseason, decided to go Dyson Daniels. What changed your opinion on this?
Well, you know me. I'm a defensive total commitment to the defensive end is my favorite part about basketball. But, yeah, and Dyson has shown that. So that was an easy pick for favorite applicant or favorite front runner. Yeah, like you didn't hear much about, like, everybody, like you guys, like we've said about this award, like it shouldn't go to a number one overall pick. Everybody knew who Cade Cunningham was last year. They knew who he was the year before that. But, like, I don't know if everybody knew who Dyson Daniels, like the Iceman, was, but they do now. And he just like he comes out of nowhere, he gets a lot of steals, really impacts the game on the defensive end. So I think that he is deserving of the most improved player because he's changed the game.
I picked Dyson as well, and I do have Cade on my list. He is my number 2, and it's only because I wasn't gonna vote for him because of the same reason you said. Man, he's a number 1 overall pick. He was averaging 20 points last year. He's averaging over 20 this year. But him as a leader and everything has changed about his game, and he has changed this team. Like, it's almost like a most improvement team is the Detroit Pistons, and because Cade is leading them, him and JB, he should be, as he is, getting recognition for that. However, you're absolutely right. Dyson Daniels got traded this offseason, right?
Yep.
Or this past offseason to go to Atlanta. Trade piece, people not really looking for him. And then all of a sudden, Atlanta's like, hey, we're going to start you because we need you. And let's see if your defense can just like help us out. And then all of a sudden, he just defensive player of the year candidate. Like, that's how much he is just insane. However, I did have, instead of AR-15, I did have Ty Jerome on there just because the man wasn't on the court at all last year. And this year is leading the entire second unit of the 60-plus win Cavs, and honestly probably could be a starter on maybe a good like 10 of the teams in the NBA.
Oh, yeah, Ty Jerome is definitely a guy that, I mean, he probably will, when we look at next year, he probably will have the highest salary increase, one of the higher ones from any, non like rookie extension or whatever. In the league, because he's definitely been great. But no, Dyson Daniels, just great. I mean, I completely agree with the Cade Cunningham stuff. I mean, if they give it to Cade Cunningham, I don't get the purpose of the award, because I personally think that he was, I mean, I think obviously he's gotten better, but he was nearly this good like last year. This year he just has the spacing and the veterans around him for that team to be more competitive and for him to just get to the rim more, do his game more. And that's why his game has been so much more successful this year. I don't think that it's really on him for improving a whole lot, which it's no shot towards Cade Cunningham. He's a terrific player. And that's why I think that the recognition for his improvement should be on an all NBA team, which we'll get to later. That's the recognition, not most improved.
I was gonna say I'm with you there, at least, because at least you said that, because I'm like, you have to recognize that he has improved, but definitely not for this award, because this award, I'm with you, should go from like someone who's maybe a bench or a role player that turns into maybe a star or a starter and goes crazy.
Yeah, that's exactly what Daniels did. Not only did he up his average to 3 steals a game, he's averaging 14, which is his career high, by 8 points.
Yeah.
He didn't he started 16 games last year. He started every game this year.
Yeah, he's been great. I mean, he was the young piece really in the DeJounte Murray trade. And he has been a perfect complementary piece in that backcourt to Trae Young. And that's why I'm excited about the Hawks' future in future years, because they, in theory, have the perfect kind of defensive team to have around Trae Young, and Dyson Daniels is the biggest reason. I mean, steals-wise, just in their last game, he broke Allen Iverson's record for most steals in a season in the 2000s with 226. I mean, it's been a record-breaking season on the defensive end for Dyson Daniels, and that's why he is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. But yeah, shout out to Dyson Daniels for winning the Most Improved Player award. Let's go over to Defensive Player of the Year next, since we're speaking on it now. So our 3 nominees for Defensive Player of the Year: Dyson Daniels from the Atlanta Hawks, Evan Mobley from the Cleveland Cavaliers, and Ivica Zubac from the Los Angeles Clippers. So, of course, Victor Wembanyama was going to be the runaway of this before, the injuries occurred, didn't meet enough games. So after that, this is kind of a crazy race. Draymond Green suddenly became a favorite, which we haven't really talked about a lot. That was kind of crazy. But Those are our 3 nominees for Defensive Player of the Year. And in the end, the winner is Evan Mobley from the Cleveland Cavaliers, taking home the Defensive Player of the Year award. Here is the voting breakdown. Jackson had Dyson Daniels. The rest of us, including the fans, picked Evan Mobley to win Defensive Player of the Year. To my knowledge, this would be the first Cav to win Defensive Player of the Year. And he is, his growth this season has been absolutely fantastic.
110%. Regardless of being defensive player, his improvement on the offensive game and in general of everything is crazy. But as much as I am happy we picked Evan Mobley and we're giving him the defensive player, it doesn't feel right though, because it really should be Wemby's.
Yeah, this is like who's the best runner-up to pick, to win the award. And I do think that it's Evan because, he's been in the conversation for at least the last 2 years. And he's really led the best team in the East. Like on at least that end of the court, he's definitely been like the leader. He's their anchor and all that. And he's got the numbers. He's got the on-off numbers to back it up. His on-off numbers are better than the other candidates. So I think he should win the. Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that his growth kind of spearheaded the jump that the Cavs took this season. More so his offensive growth, because he's been a terrific defender, since he's come into the NBA. But even then, he's gotten better. He's gotten stronger, not afraid of contact like he kind of was to start his career. And I hope he wins Defensive Player of the Year, not even just because I'm a Cavs fan, but just for the fact that it would really he's had such a great defensive career to start. He was the runner-up, I believe, in 2023, or maybe he was third in Defensive Player of the Year. He was like one of the youngest players to be top 3 ever.
He was third.
Yeah, third. And it was like the youngest to be third since like Kobe was like near the top of Defensive Player of the Year. So it would suck if he got runner-up. He definitely deserves to win Defensive Player of the Year, especially since he's such a great defender, generational defender with the way he can guard 1 through 5, you could even say. And once Wemby comes back, that award is probably his for the next few years, unless something like this happens again and he gets injured. So I hope that Mobley can get the award so he at least has one before Wemby goes on this inevitable run of winning it a bunch of years in a row.
Agreed. But a huge shout out to Zubac, because that Clippers defense as a whole, and he's the spearhead of it's nothing to scoff at. Huge major props to Zubac for just doing everything for that, because he is also heavily, just like Mobley, improved greatly on the offensive end as well.
And they've needed it. They've needed it a lot. So Zubac's definitely deserving to be up here. He should definitely make an all-defensive team, as should Lou Dort. He finished third in my voting.
That was my ranking too. Mobley, Zoo.
Just because the Thunder defense has been historic this year, and it's been great, collectively from guys like J-Dub, Kaysen Wallace on the perimeter, obviously Chet Holmgren when he came back from the injury. But what Lou Dort has done against all-star guards this year, just making it difficult, has been fantastic. And I think that they deserve definitely some representation, probably on all defensive awards. They could have 2 or 3 players make all defensive teams because of how good their defense has been this year. So shout out to Lou Dort, but Evan Mobley ends up taking home our Defensive Player of the Year. What award do we want to go to here next?
Coach of the Year.
All right, Coach of the Year coming up next. All right, Coach of the Year. A lot of good candidates for this year, as there are every single year, but we had some special historic years this year.
Is Michael Malone on that list?
Nope. No, unfortunately not. But 3 nominees for Coach of the Year. Kenny Atkinson of the Cleveland Cavaliers, J.B. Bickerstaff of the Detroit Pistons, and Ime Udoka of the Houston Rockets. This whole graphic is like a fever dream. This is unbelievable. Oh my gosh, 2 Cavs coaches and then the Rockets coach. This is exactly what we would want. But the winner for Coach of the Year, this is another one that was really close, but the winner is J.B. Bickerstaff, winning Coach of the Year. Yeah, look at that.
What a great photo.
Yep, Coach JB Bickerstaff winning Coach of the Year. Here's the voting breakdown. This might be even more of the fever dream. Jackson and the fans go with Kenny Atkinson. The rest of us pick the non-current Cavs coach and JB Bickerstaff. Both guys obviously deserving of this award, but Nick, why did you opt to give it to our old friend JB, or your old friend JB?
He's done a great job in Detroit, taking them from, almost single-digit wins to above 500 and a playoff team. So just complete 180 from where they were at, and not expecting that from them, even with they didn't sign anybody crazy this year. He's developed them internally in a short amount of time, and yeah, that's pretty much what the award's for.
Yeah, I couldn't add much to that outside of Detroit was god awful, and now a lot of people are picking them to upset some people and make things interesting in the Eastern playoffs. Not to mention, they're not even when he took the Cavs to start, he took us from dog water and took us to the play-in. He's taken them right from trash right to the playoffs.
I mean, tripling their wins is very impressive. I mean, it's hard to make a case against that. For me, that's why I went with JB Bickerstaff, because, I mean, like you said, I mean, the signings, I love the signings they made at the time of the regular season, just so they had more spacing for their guys. But, I mean, JB's been a perfect leader for that team, and again, tripling your win total. And like you said, Joey, going from, I think, a 14-win season, historically awful, to the playoffs is crazy. Didn't they just set the record for the longest losing streak last year? Yeah, and they make the playoffs the next year. It's unbelievable. And they've been they did have a chance to get home court advantage in the first round, which is insane stuff. So shout out to JB Bickerstaff. Other candidates, of course, Kenny Atkinson, of our Cavs. I mean, he obviously replaced JB Bickerstaff, and they just surged. I mean, in a historic year for the Cavs this year. I think, obviously it's one thing to take, a bad young team and get them a little bit better and make them into playing material. But I think it's probably harder to take a good team and turn them into great with the same roster. And that's what he's done. The Cavaliers have been the best team in the East all season. They never relinquished it the entire way. They had the number one record in the whole league the entire year. And, they have a legit shot at winning the NBA championship this year. And I don't know if any of us could have really foreseen that coming into the year. So Coach Kenny Atkinson, definitely deserving. And it's understanding why, the fans in Jackson both went with him.
Shocking. No, he didn't pick the Rockets. I know how much of a crush Jackson has on Ime Udoka, but
Ime Udoka, I wouldn't blame people for having him over Kenny Atkinson as well. I know, Joey, you did in your voting.
I did. I sure did. Yeah, I was going to say I had Udoka too, just because the Cavs were a top 4 seed last year, and we made it into the second round of the playoffs. The Rockets, they finished 500 last year, which was huge for them, and they barely missed the play-in. So huge props to Udoka doing it last year. But like JB did for the Pistons and tripling the record, he took them from missing the play-in all the way to the 2 seed.
And 2 seed with a week to go in a loaded Western Conference. The Rockets have had really an incredible regular season. They're the 4th best team in the NBA. That's incredible. So he should definitely get some votes and consideration. And I guess really the other main guy would be Mark Daigneault, because, the team they were on a 70-win pace for the whole year. That's crazy. The Thunder have had an incredible season. And there are a lot of guys that I think deserve some credit, but it's definitely those 4 guys ahead of the pack for me. And then you go to guys like, the 2 LA teams. I think JJ Redick in his first year and Tyronn Lue for the Clippers. Terrific years across the board. So I think there are definitely 6 decent candidates, but here JB Bickerstaff takes home Coach of the Year. Imagine us saying that a year ago.
You know who else is done a great job per usual is Steve Kerr in Golden State because
He
of
has.
the
100.
fact that they were so terrible early, and then they're really in a good spot now. He's held them steady.
He literally helped solve the whole Jimmy Butler saga. Took them on and turned them into a better team than they were.
Yeah,
It's actually nuts.
It's
Per
been very
usual.
impressive, and it's just crazy with what happens in the Western Conference. Like even just Wednesday night, the Warriors lose to the Spurs on a Harrison Barnes buzzer-beating 3, and they drop from like 4th or 5th to 7th. And like that, that's incredible that their season could come down to a Harrison Barnes game-winning 3 for a Spurs team where the game didn't really matter to them. They have nothing to play for.
Mattered to Harrison Barnes, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, former Warrior, continuing to hurt the Warriors. Oh man. All right, moving on next here. Let's go to
6 man.
Yeah, let's go to 6th man of the year. 6th man of the year. Not an award that I feel like has really gotten much talk about this year, but we all voted the same 3 final nominees, and this was by far the closest one for this award. So our 3 nominees are Malik Beasley from the Detroit Pistons, DeAndre Hunter from the Cleveland Cavaliers, and Peyton Pritchard from the Boston Celtics. This was very, very difficult to come out with the winner of this award. But overall, the winner of the Runnin The Paint Podcast 6th man of the year is Peyton Pritchard from the Boston Celtics. Now, this was incredibly close, as I keep saying. This is how close it was. Jackson and I had Malik Beasley, Nick and Joey had Peyton Pritchard, and the fans went DeAndre Hunter. So the fans couldn't really even determine this. So the reason that Pritchard won this award is because I was the only person that had him in 3rd place, and Jackson and the fans had him in 2nd. Well, you guys had him in 1st. So because of that, he wins. That's how close this was. But all 3 of those guys definitely deserving, but Pritchard's had a special year for the Celtics.
All I'm seeing is that me and Nick are, as usual, the geniuses of this podcast.
More so far.
No, Peyton Pritchard. I know we talked a lot. We haven't even mentioned the Celtics in any of these awards yet. You have to at some point. And Peyton Pritchard is. We all knew it in the last couple of years. We can kind of see the growth coming, and here we are. He is just so efficient, so perfect for that Boston team. He just. When he comes into the lineup and they send one of their guys to the bench, like Derek White, he fills in the role perfectly. They're not missing anything.
Yeah, and I mean, it's been huge. Yeah, I mean, he comes in and just provides that boost of energy, mainly from knocking down a bunch of threes off the bench. I mean, he's had an incredible year. And something that he's also very good at as well, he's, for a guy that is 6'1", sneaky good offensive rebounder. He's done that a lot this year. I mean, he's averaged 1.5 offensive rebounds a game this year for Peyton Pritchard. I mean, that's crazy. But, Peyton Pritchard definitely deserving of this. Jackson and I both went with Malik Beasley. He's had a historic year for the Pistons off the bench. We mentioned he's just the 4th player ever to hit 300-plus threes in a season. And him being the 2nd guy for the Pistons once Jaden Ivey went down, who's not a small piece by any means, has been huge. He's another guy that comes off the bench, knocks down a whole bunch of threes, and has allowed the Pistons to win some games, even when Cunningham missed a few, like over the last month or so.
For sure. Nick, what made you pick Pritchard over the other guys?
He's just consistently able to come in and, like, you know what you're going to get from him. You're going to get 15, like 4 and 5, and he's going to make an impact at a championship level. And he plays every game. Like, he's always there doing what he does, which is like the definition of a 6-man.
Facts.
Yeah, definitely. All these guys important to winning teams as well. DeAndre Hunter coming to the Cavs midway through. I mean, he was the leading scorer. He might still be the leading scorer off the bench in the NBA this year. Was like a near 20-point scorer for the Hawks. Came to the Cavs and made them better, and he might be the most important player going into the playoffs if it gets down to a conference final between Cleveland and Boston. But all these guys definitely important to winning, but then these guys clearly the top 3 for this award. So shout out to Peyton Pritchard for taking it home.
14, 4, and 3.5 are his numbers.
Yeah, playing very, very well. By far his best year.
100%. All right, what is next?
Let's go to Clutch Player of the Year. Clutch Player of the Year. So our 3 nominees for this award are Jalen Brunson of the New York Knicks, Darius Garland of the Cavaliers, a lot of Cavs, and Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. And the winner of the Clutch Player of the Year award is Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets.
Whoa!
Jokic taking it home. Here is the full breakdown. Me and Nick both taking Jokic. Joey and Jackson went Brunson. The fans went with Darius Garland. And reason why Jokic ends up taking this award home, I believe. It's because Nick and I both had him in first. But it was completely even across the board, actually, because the fans picked Darius Garland. So honestly, this could be a bit of a tie-up. It's pretty close across the board. But Jokic ends up taking it home, the Clutch Player of the Year award. I mean, all 3 of these guys so important, but we mentioned it at the top where early in the year when the Nuggets were just they were in close games and barely winning, it was because of this guy. I mean, it's probably the most reliable play in basketball at the end of games. Get it to Jokic, have him back down his guy in the post, do his little hook shot, and it goes in. Like, he's been so reliable this year, and that's why he takes on Clutch Player of the Year.
I agree with that. I had Jokic third just because, at least in recent history, it's always been a guard. And it makes sense because the guards are always having their ball in the hand. And I would like to see Jokic have it just because he's just a point center in general. So he always has the ball in his hand no matter what. But I don't know. Brunson's been on a tear, especially at late, which he's also – I feel like he's been in this conversation for the last couple years as well, just because of how efficient he's been in the fourth quarter and in clutch time over the last couple of years. And I don't know. I think he's due.
Yeah, ever since the award came out, it was like, oh, this is Jalen Brunson's award. He's definitely going to win it. Hasn't won it yet. I had him second this year to Jokic. I had Jokic, Brunson, Garland. But the reason I have Jokic is it's basically a consolation prize for an award that we're going to get to here soon that I believe may be stolen from him.
Are you kidding me? That's really why you gave it?
Yeah, I mean, that was a thought that ran through my head.
This is great. Oh, boy.
I love that.
That is fantastic. But, yeah, Jokic taking home the Clutch Player of the Year award. Moving on here, I believe we have just 2 awards here left to go.
Let's talk about that next one, the MVP.
Hold on. We got to get to the GFF.
Yeah.
What? I thought we would save that one, the best for last. What are you talking about?
No, I think we got to do it now because the MVP is the one that is the biggest, thrilling award right now. So let's go to the GFF of the year, the Garbage Fire franchise of the season, the first ever year where we are having this award. And I want to count here myself. 5, 6, 7. 7 teams got a vote for GFF of the year. So here are our 3 nominees for the first. Well, first, I guess before we get into the nominees, Nick, you want to explain what this means?
Oh, yeah. The GFF is the Garbage Fire franchise. It was adopted by us early on in the formation of this podcast in reference to the Brooklyn Nets and their organization's failures since the dismissal of Darren Williams. So basically, this award is for the team who most embodies that this regular season.
All right. So here are our 3 nominees for the Garbage Fire franchise of the season.
My favorite award.
So we've got the Dallas Mavericks, the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Phoenix Suns. What an incredible year. Incredible year it's been for those 3 teams.
I forgot about Phoenix. They're a dark horse. Phoenix.
I was gonna say they don't do anything that stands out. Like, man, you guys are just doing boneheaded moves like the other ones, but man, they are just terrible.
Yes. So the winner of the first ever GFF of the year is the Dallas Mavericks.
Has to be.
It has to be. I can't even be mad at that. Looking at the voting breakdown, I went with the Suns. You guys went with the Mavericks. The fans went with the Mavericks. But the most shocking one might be that Jackson had a team that didn't even make the nominees. He had the Sacramento Kings.
Okay. All right, Jackson. That is personal, my dude.
So that is I have a feeling that as well. So that's why the Kings were not a nominee, especially compared to the Sixers. But no. Yeah. So yeah, the Dallas Mavericks, garbage fire franchise of the season. And look, like Nick and I were talking about, we're people that did understand it from their perspective, but you can't ignore how awful things turned immediately after a very questionable trade.
Yeah, that was. I was not one of those like you guys.
Yeah,
the Kings. I'm at a loss.
I'm shocked by that. That is personal. That is
100%.
It has to be
intentionally.
I at least had like my second team was the Miami Heat, which they also should at least get an honorable mention for the way they handled the whole Jimmy saga in the middle of the season.
Yeah, that was my third team too. Real jokester, Jackson.
You're funny, Jackson.
Didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, Jackson's top three. He didn't even have the Mavericks in his top three. You know, he's going to stand by his take. So he had the Kings one, he had the Memphis Grizzlies second, and then the Suns third. Probably, I guess, for firing Taylor Jenkins, but I think it was the right firing. So it, you know, but no, the Dallas Mavericks just a disaster of a season. And they're still gonna look. The one thing I'll say is at least they are still gonna make the play-in tournament. Unlike the Phoenix Buns, they do it again. Second straight garbage year. Oh my gosh, dude. Jackson and I had high hopes on the Suns, and Nick was right. Nick was right, right? Did you have them at 11th, or what was the deal?
I think 9th or 10th.
They end up doing worse. They're eliminated from the play-in a week before it's all said and done, and it didn't look like it was going to be this kind of season. They started off 8-1. You know, they looked great to start off with, but after that, they've gone 27-44. Brutal year. Mike Budenholzer, who I thought would maybe win Coach of the Year coming in, he might not even have a job by the start of next season. They don't have their draft picks. Kevin Durant is probably going to get traded. It's been a complete disaster. That's why I gave them the number one spot, because at least the Mavericks still have some chance, and they're healthy besides Kyrie Irving. They still have a chance to at least get into the playoffs. This is a Suns team that has Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal that wants to win now, thinks they can win a championship now. A team that their owner, after last year, said that 26 out of the 29 other GMs would trade their entire situation for ours. And they are going to not even play a postseason game. I mean, it's been a disaster, I think, specifically for the Mavericks and the Suns across the board. And I guess the Sixers as well.
Yeah. I just want to point out that the Sacramento Kings did take that last play-in spot. So suck it, Jackson and the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, man. But yeah, Dallas Mavericks take home the first ever garbage fire franchise of the season. Lot of good candidates. I have a feeling if the Mavericks didn't do that trade, it would be very close between all these other ones. Because, I mean, the Sixers, it's been a disaster. They've kind of been in a similar situation as the Suns, but at least their guys were injured, so they have a pick, so they can still at least kind of tank.
They have some redeeming qualities.
There's no saving grace for the Phoenix Suns. Like, at least the Pelicans just got destroyed by injuries. I wouldn't put that, you know, it happens. I don't think we would have given the Grizzlies the GFF of the year last year. Actually, who would we have given it to last year? Would it have been the Nets?
Probably.
It might have been. I don't even know. That's probably why we're talking about it, because the Nets were mid and not doing things, but they had a good year this year. But yeah,
I was going to say they're usually the default GFF, but this year they actually were like smart and traded away some of their pieces and got some draft picks. So they're actually in the right direction.
Yeah, the way that the Nets played out this season is actually kind of perfect. So shout out to the Brooklyn Nets for being a recycling fire for I don't know.
A respectable franchise.
Respectable fine franchise. That's the RFF. But yeah, Dallas Mavericks take home the first ever GFF of the year. Very well deserved. Very well deserved. Yes. But now let's get to the big one, the most valuable player, the MVP, the one that we've been talking about all season long, because this is one of the tougher races to figure out. Our three nominees are, of course, Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Milwaukee Bucks, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from the Oklahoma City Thunder, and Nikola Jokic from the Denver Nuggets, going for, I believe, his fourth in the last 5 years. So here we go. The winner of the 2025 Runnin the Paint Podcast MVP is, drum roll, Nikola Jokic.
Oh, no.
Yes!
Of the Denver Nuggets.
I went 6 for 7.
Wins his fourth one in 5 years. Here is the voting breakdown.
What was that, Nick?
Joey, Jackson, and I all had the Joker. The fans and Nick decided to go with SGA. This was a bit of a tough one. Joey, we'll start with you. Why did you end up going with Jokic in the end?
All right. So since there are a couple games still to go, it really can go either way still. Because in my opinion, if the Nuggets do not get a top 4 seed, Jokic should not win the award. But if they do get a top 4 seed and get home court advantage, I'm all for it. Just because I do attribute winning to it, but I don't know.
Well, how does 14 games above the 2 seed sound?
Okay. But he's got like a way better team than the Nuggets. Jokic is by himself with no coach and no GM.
SGA is the best player on a team that is 15 games above 500 in a Western Conference that everybody thought was wide open coming into the year.
Yeah, historic. Shai's had an incredible year, but I did go Jokic for for 3 reasons. I'll go with 3 reasons. One, yes, his team has not, like we've talked about, they just fired their coach with 3 games left in the season. There's been some problems, but Jokic, as we talked about, he just put on some of the greatest stretches of his career, and they ended up losing the game. So that was not because of Jokic. He has the 3rd highest plus minus in the NBA. His on-off numbers are ridiculous. He's a plus 8.1 on the season. The only 2 guys ahead of him are Chet and Shai on the Thunder, and they've been so dominant as a team. Jokic, I don't even know where the next closest Denver Nugget would be. The next closest guy is Aaron Gordon, who's all the way at 27th on the rankings list. I mean, that shows the on and off numbers. It's been the same way, really, his entire career, but this year it's even more so for Jokic. That's number one. His on-off numbers have been ridiculous. They look completely awful when he's not in the game. Second reason is the fact that he has won MVP 3 of the last 4 years, and this year is clearly his best season. I mean, 30-point triple-double. I feel like that alone is kind of difficult, to not give it to him. And the third is that he won Clutch Player of the Year. He's been the guy down the stretch, and he's been the clutchest player in basketball by our standards. So I think Jokic definitely deserves MVP, but voters fatigue. And Nick, your point of the Thunder being so much higher than the rest of the Western Conference, I don't think that's something that should be taken lightly at all. I think that's going to be something that people will look at, and the fact that Shai has had a historic year in terms of scoring the basketball. So you could go either way.
I'm not mad if Shai wins. I definitely think he deserves it as well. But in my opinion, I'm not a big fan of the voter fatigue just because I've lived it with LeBron, because LeBron's always, at least when he was in Cleveland, always been the most valuable player and the best player in the entire league. And he's won it only a handful of times. Jokic it's kind of the same thing. He's the most valuable player on his team. He has been for the last 3 years. His plus minus, when he comes out, they look like a lottery team when he's off the court. They look awful. And like you said, Miles, it's the best year. But again, nothing. If Shai wins it, I value winning, so like I can't be mad at that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, and I definitely wouldn't be mad if they gave it to him for the winning thing. I personally don't think that the old stigma of like, all right, if you're the best player on the best team, you automatically win MVP. I don't think that's how it is anymore. Because the best player on the best team in the league hasn't won the MVP since the 2020 season when Giannis won it in his second year. It's all 4 of Jokic's MVPs has come with him as a 3rd seed twice and as a 6th seed. And sandwiched in there was Embiid's MVP when he was a 3rd seed. So I don't think that really has a big case. Of course, we haven't had a team as dominant as the Thunder since then, besides like the 2022 Suns. But I think it definitely is close. I for sure think it's close.
I don't think there's been a player like Shea during this run, like best player, but best player on the best team, but also like a front runner, a top 2 contender who's on the best team. So like when you're the engine of the best team, I do think that holds a lot of water. And the other thing is that like I've thought about this a lot, and like the voter fatigue thing and what the award is actually like for. And I said when I got in the pod lobby, I'm like, I'm sick because I picked the wrong guy, and I picked 6 out of the 7 right. That's the only one I didn't pick right. But like Jokic is the best player. I agree with that. But I think the award is like a symbol for like what the season should be remembered for, or like a symbol for like what the most impressive thing about the season was. And I think that Shea, even though like, yeah, Jokic is doing it's less impressive because he's done it before.
Yeah, I would almost honestly argue that it's kind of even more impressive because of how weird and rough the season has been that he's still playing this well. People aren't going to look at it that way.
It depends how you look at it.
Yeah, I think it's impressive that it's been such a weird, rough year. Like they had to fire their coach. I'm still not going to get over that. And he's still been the best player. I mean, it's crazy. It really.
For me, I guess the most outstanding thing about this season is the fact that like, yeah, Shea's averaging damn near 35, and the Thunder are above like 16, 15 games the whole year above everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting take on the award, but I kind of
dig it, and so much.
It makes perfect sense. You almost got me being like, you know what? That would be kind of sick. Where if it's like, hey, you give it to Shea, and then when you look back on that year, you look at, with the awards. Oh, yeah, Shea won that MVP. Oh, yeah, that was the year the Thunder won like almost 70 games. And they like that loaded West when they were like 20 games above everybody.
But
like
I mean, the argument would go the same way if you picked Jokic and you'd be like, oh, that was the year he went 60, 10, and 10, or 30, 20, 20.
Personally, I think that it could go both ways because Jokic wins MVP. We remember his incredible season, and Shea could win Finals MVP. And the Thunder, I mean, look, the Western, we're going to get to, next week. We'll have our full playoff predictions and stuff, or at least the first round. We're getting to the best time of year. And obviously the Western Conference is loaded. But look, the Thunder are that high ahead. There's a very good chance that this is kind of like a 2023 Nuggets scenario where we're searching and searching and searching and trying to find out who really is the favorite in the West. The Thunder could very well roll over the Western Conference and win a championship depending on who makes it out of the East. And that's how the season it's remembered of their full dominance and Shea leading the way. And look, scoring wise, this might be is this the highest scoring season we've seen since Harden? Or no, Luka did it. Luka averaged like 34 last year, but he was taking like a big high volume of shots. I think that this is one of the more impressive scoring seasons I've seen from a guy probably since James Harden's Houston Rockets days at the end of the 2010s.
And along with you bringing up that James Harden MVP and all that kind of stuff, I want to hear nothing about in the comments about the free throw merchants and stuff, because if he is drawing the fouls, that takes an immense amount of talent, and hitting them takes talent, takes skill. It's part of the game. Get used to it.
Great scorers get to the line. It's not a crazy It's not a crazy concept. That's how it's always been. Unless, I mean, look, Steph Curry's never been really a big guy, gets to the line 4 times a game, but it's because he's on the perimeter all the time, bombing in 4 threes a game. Like, it's not, I don't think it's a hard concept. I don't know why people glance over that. Like, if you're a great scorer, part of being a great elite scorer is that you can draw fouls and get to the line. It's a smart way to play basketball.
If you're a great scorer and you're going against a great or a good defender at least, and their job is to stop you from scoring, and you're such a great scorer, their best option is probably to foul you and to take their chances at the foul line. So they're probably wanting to foul you more.
And Shea being a 90%er at the line.
That also does. That's the thing. You foul him, he's going to make them.
I mean, you talk unguardable guards. It's like you're picking your poison with a guy like that. Because I don't know what you live with him. I mean, I don't know if you live with him taking a contested layup at the basket, because obviously we know what he can do in the mid-range. He gets to the free throw line, and his step-back 3 ball has been a lot better this year as well. That was the big thing to start the year. He was taking like a higher volume of threes, so his percentages weren't as great. He's back up to shooting 52% from the field. I'm always going to go back to the fact that he shoots like nearly 60% on 2-pointers as a guard. That's ridiculous.
That's nuts.
So, I mean, both of those guys obviously having incredible years. I mean, Jokic, I want to know what Jokic's numbers would be if you took away all of his half-court heaves, because he leads the league in half-court heaves. But if you get rid of that, Jokic is nearly putting up a 60, 45, 80 shooting season. I mean, this is just a year where a lot of guys are playing great. We haven't even talked about Giannis. Giannis is a clear 3rd guy. He's been that good. He's clearly number 3.
There is no contest with Giannis. He is just dominant.
No, but in the end, Nikola Jokic ends up winning the MVP. Who do you guys actually think will win the award? Because obviously these awards were who we think should win, but who do you guys think will win?
Easily went 7 for 7 today. I should probably, like, if you listen to this whole podcast, just go right into DraftKings right now and go to futures and take all my picks.
Yeah, I would probably have to say Shea as well to win it, just because as much as we hate it, voter fatigue is a thing.
By the way, DraftKings, like, never mind.
Sponsor us.
Free shout-outs.
I am wondering, though, with the voter fatigue thing, if that will matter because of the Shea free throw perception and how people look at the Thunder. There are people in the media that don't trust the Thunder and don't respect the free throw thing.
See, honestly, I think
that's stupid.
I think, I don't know. I hate the fact that, I mean, it's the Jeff Van Gundy.
I don't know who's going to win.
That comparison is the thief of joy. I mean, it's really true with this type of thing, because both of these guys are having historic years.
Yeah.
They're both deserving.
Yeah,
sure.
No question about it. Let us know who you think should win the MVP in the comments down below. Thank you guys again all for voting for all those awards. Again, you definitely determined some of those awards, like 6th Man of the Year, Clutch Player of the Year. But we also gave our all NBA teams as well. So basically our top 15 players in the league. Now for this and for all the awards, as we should have said, the rule is in place where you have to play a minimum of 65 games in order to qualify for all these awards. So here are all 3 of the all NBA teams. First on the all NBA first team, we've got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Nikola Jokic. So our 3 MVP candidates plus Tatum and plus Mitchell. What are you guys' thoughts on the first team?
That is exactly who I have for my first team. So my thoughts are short and sweet and agreeable.
Agreed. It's the obvious answer.
Yeah, that's what I gave as well. Jackson did have a difference with one player that I was actually juggling between. I was juggling between Donovan Mitchell and Anthony Edwards for the All-NBA first team in my opinion, because obviously the Cavs have been great. Mitchell's taken a little bit of a step back to do it. Anthony Edwards individually is having a great year, improving as a three-point shooter. The Wolves haven't been as good, but he makes the All-NBA second team along with Cade Cunningham, Jalen Brunson, LeBron James, and Karl Anthony Towns. This is basically what all of us had, as well.
That's what I had.
Yep. 17 for 17.
Yeah, so this is well, yeah, so this is exactly what we're talking about with the Cade Cunningham thing. Like an all-NBA second team nod is what we think should happen, and that's how you give him the recognition for the type of season he's had this year.
For sure.
Now, Miles.
Oh, sorry, Nick.
No, sorry. I didn't.
No, you go.
Well, I was going to say, Miles, I think you have somebody else on there because you alluded to Cade Cunningham being on the All-NBA team, but we just covered him on the second team.
Yes, so he's on the second team. So now the final team is the third team, and we've got Steph Curry, J-Dub, Jalen Williams, Evan Mobley, Domantas Sabonis, and Alperen Şengün from the Rockets. This was definitely the closest one for the third team. A lot of different players got votes, but in the end, Curry, J-Dub, Mobley, Sabonis, and Şengün, a big third team. But again, all guys having great years.
Did you guys have anybody else that was on your third team?
Oh, I actually didn't. This was actually my perfect third team. Jackson had Curry and Brunson switch. He had Curry on the second team, Brunson on the third team. And instead of Sabonis, he went with Jaren Jackson Jr.
I actually had Jaylen Brown, I think, instead of Şengün.
Yes, you did. But I actually will ask you, it came out. He is not going to play like probably the rest of the season. So he's actually going to be one game short.
Jaylen Brown?
Yeah, Jaylen Brown. So would Şengün be your...
Şengün was going to be my next one. I remember I sent you my list, and you came back with like 3 players that like I had to move. I'm like, oh, crap.
I do the same thing with Jackson because Kevin Durant would maybe be on it. He didn't make it. Damian Lillard, and now Jaylen Brown. Nick, what I know when I saw yours, you had a lot of different players. So who were some players you gave love to for the third team?
I did give love to James Harden, who is having a great season. He's at 23-9 with almost 6 rebounds a game. So I gave him some love. I gave Trae Young some love because I love Trae Young and he always puts up big numbers. So throw him on the All-NBA third team. And my last guy was, do you have in front of you, Miles?
Devin Booker.
D-Book. Yeah.
D-Book, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I always go with like fun guards who are like fun to watch over like a Jaren Jackson or a Şengün. I don't know, specifically for like the All-NBA teams, I guess, because I feel like if you're a big dude who's playing with his back to the basket, like go make a defensive team.
That's fair. I think that's fair to some extent, but I wanted to give love.
It didn't sound that fair when I said it, so I don't know.
I was gonna say that ain't gonna happen for Sabonis and Şengün.
That's
the thing.
Guys,
I think Sabonis is deserving. I probably could have put him on there over Trae Young.
And I wanted to give love to I wanted to give love to a Rocket for them being the 2 seed, and Şengün has been great. That's why I gave it to him. If there was like a final guy that was going to be off, it was probably going to be Sabonis. He was probably like the number 15 guy to make it for me.
I couldn't leave him off.
Yeah. If I had to give a 16, my runner-up might have actually been Pascal Siakam from the Pacers, who none of us voted for, but Pacers have had a very good year. They deserve some representation as well. I think the All-NBA teams are a good place to give some of that recognition to those those players on winning teams. And that's why, let's see. I mean, across the board, Knicks got 2, Cavs got 2, Thunder got 2, and is that it? I think that's it. So we gave, the winning teams their respect there. Shout out to, guys that definitely have the chance of making their first All-NBA team with the case of Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley. If J-Dub made it, that'd be awesome. Şengün. And I hope Sabonis makes it to make up for him not making the All-Star game.
Agreed.
Too, because All-NBA is, to me, more impressive than an All-Star not. I mean, you're a top 15 player if you make All-NBA.
Isn't an All-Star top 12, though?
Top 24, because you're going from both conferences.
Yeah, duh.
Not to mention the fans get a vote.
Yeah, fans get a yellow ball. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, there are our 2025 Runnin the Paint awards. You guys have any complaints? I mean, Nick, I know you don't because you nearly went perfect. But Joey, how about you? What were your thoughts on all these award winners?
Honestly, pretty solid. I was pretty around the mark with all of them. Me and Nick are smart. We know those things. Jackson, as usual. Damn.
We'll have to see if our award show sways any of the odds for the favorites.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see if we somehow go perfect for this. Oh man, that'd be.
People are gonna start putting those bets in.
Yeah, people will. We might have to get FanDuel as a sponsor next.
Yeah, come on, DraftKings.
But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA content. Next time we're back, we will do our preview of the play-in tournament as postseason basketball is just around the corner. Cannot wait. Still a lot of things to get determined. Oh my goodness, I'm so ready for it to get started. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Chomp,
Peace.
chomp.